Excel 2016, Module 7, pages 412 through 417. On page 412, you need to read about creating a list validation rule. Okay, you need to read this and understand what we're doing. This is actually something very common. You use it all the time on the internet in particular. And basically, we're going to create a drop-down list where you can select from a list of whatever it is, a list of things. Maybe it could be the shirt size or whatever, okay? So read about creating a list validation rule, and then let's go do it. All right, to create a validation rule and an input message for the activity cell, select cell B5. Okay, here's B, and here's 5. On the Data tab in the Data Tools group, click the Data Validation button to open the Data Validation dialog box, and then click the Settings tab. All right, Data tab, Data Tools, Data Validation, Settings tab. Okay, got that? Data tab, Data Validation button, and then when the Data Validation dialog box opens, click the Settings tab. Step number 3, click the Allow arrow. Allow arrow. And then click List. Remember, they're not in alphabetical order, so you just have to hunt it down. It's right there. The dialog box expands to display the source box, which is right here. Okay, we just got a source box that popped up if you didn't notice. You can enter values separated by commas directly in the source box, or you can select a range of valid entries in the worksheet. Okay, so this time we're going to select a range, but next time we're actually going to be hand typing our list in. So you can do either one. So in this case, what you want to do is you want to click on that button right there. Okay, so that we can go select our range. Select the range D4 to D7. Here's D, and here is 4 through 7. Those are the activities. Go ahead and check it right here and make sure it says the absolute value of D4 through the absolute value of D7. Okay, you can take a look on page 413, and you can make sure that your data validation box looks just like that one. Go ahead and click that button right there to expand that back out. All right, so it should say list. Both of these check marks remain on. And then we should have our source right here, which is the absolute value of D4 through D7. Okay? Next, you'll create an input message and an error alert. Click the Input Message tab. Okay, here's our Input Message tab. Then click in the title box and type Activity. Easy enough. Okay, got it. Your title is Activity. Step number 7. Click the Input Message box and then click the arrow to select the activity. Okay, if you need to slow down and pause right here so that you can type that in and check your spelling. Step number 8, click the Error Alert tab and then make sure that Stop is right here in the style. If it's not, just hit the down pointing arrow and select Stop. You want to prevent a user from entering a value that is not included in the list of values you specified. Step number 9, in the title box, which is right there, type Invalid Activity. And then stop and check your spelling. Step number 10. In the error message box, type an invalid activity has been entered, period. Click cancel, comma, and then use the arrow to select a valid activity, not Activia, which is yogurt, activity, period. Okay? So just pause the video and type that in real quick. Okay, now this one is punctuated because it's 2 sentences, so go ahead and take a quick look at it. Just check your spelling, make sure it's all there, and you can compare what you have in your data validation dialog box to figure 7-21. And when you get that finished, turn over to page 414, go on to step number 11, which says click OK. The data validation dialog box closes. An arrow appears to the right of cell B5, and the input message appears as a screen tip. See it right there? click that arrow button on B5. So you have a drop-down list. You've seen drop-down lists a million times, especially when you're working on the internet, right? So you have a drop-down list, and all you have to do is the person just clicks, whatever it is, whichever activity. Go ahead and you can press the escape key to close that or deselect. Okay, to create list validation rules for the grade and shirt size cells, select cell B6. Right there. Okay, on the Data tab, Data Tools group, Data Validation button. Getting used to this button yet? On our Settings tab, okay, this is going to be a list, correct? All right, so we've got that. Now, in our source, what we want is E4 to E7. Let me just move this out of the way. Remember, you can always grab these boxes in the blue and move them. So E4 to E7. And this shows me it's the absolute value of E4 to E7. You always want to make sure you check that. Expand that back out. Okay. Input message. The title is grade. And the actual message itself. Click arrow to select the grade. Okay, error alert is a stop. Okay, title is invalid grade. There's a lot of typing in this chapter, by the way. And a giant input message, I'm sure. Invalid grade has been entered. Cancel. And then use the arrow to select the grade. Okay, always stop, of course. Go back and read it. When you have that all done, you go ahead and click OK. Now, step number 7. Click on cell B7. You're going to create a data validation rule for the shirt size cells. Before you go on, can you tell yourself what you do? Data tab, data validation, settings, list, source, select the area that's your source. Is that all starting to sound familiar? It should be. All right, so we click right here. Data Tools group, Data tab, Data Tools group, Data validation, settings, list, right? What do we want? Push this out of our way. And our shirt sizes are the range F4 to F8 shirt sizes right here. See them? So you have the absolute value of F4 through F8. Expand that box. Right? And we need our input message, our title, which is shirt size, and our input message, which is click the arrow to select the shirt size. We're going to need an error alert. Okay, our error alert will be a stop. Our title is going to be invalid shirt size. And our error message, an invalid shirt size has been entered. They always like to capitalize that, don't they? Okay, got it all in there. If not, just hit pause and get it typed in. I'm checking it. Hear me muttering. So I read it. And when you have all of that done, go ahead and click on OK. Right? If you want to take a look, you can clearly see that we got our shirt sizes. And you should always go back and check each one and make sure that your list is correct. Right? Right. Go ahead and hit save before we move on. All right, to create a list validation rule for the Rockport residence cell, Select cell B8. Here's B, and here's 8. Okay, so in this one, this is a list, a drop-down list where we're going to type in the source ourselves. So instead of dragging a range, we're actually going to type in yes and no. Okay, again, very simple. All right, are you ready? Data tab, Data Tools group, Data Validation button. How many times have we done that? Hit it. Settings, List. But this time in our source box, we're not going to click our collapse button and go drag a range. We're actually going to type in YES, comma, space, NO. Okay? So yes, no. That's all you have to do. And again, if this was something else besides yes or no, you could type many different things in there. What if it was like what color and you had a list of 5 colors? You could certainly type all of those in here separated by commas. Step number 4, Input Message tab, just like before. Title, Rockport Resident. Input message. Click the arrow to select the correct response. Always go back, check your typing real quick. When you have that in, go ahead and turn the page, because I think you know we're going to have to put in an error alert, aren't we? Our error alert is going to be a stop, and our title is going to be, well, it's going to be Invalid Rockport Residents. Error message. An invalid response for Rockport Resident has been entered. Click Cancel and then use the arrow to select the response. Okay, we can do that. Okay, quick check. And when you get that all checked out, go ahead and click OK. And you'll see right there, you can click yes or no. Pretty simple, right? And you can see your screen tip pop up. Tells you exactly what to do. Okay, to create an input message for the registration date cell, select cell B3. Okay. On the Data tab in the Data Tools group, click the Data I've said it so many times I don't want to say it anymore. You know where to go. Data Validation, please. Click the Settings tab. Click the Input Message tab. Click the Settings tab. The validation rule you created earlier is already there. So it's all already there, right? So now we want to go to our input message. And we didn't put one in, so our title, registration date, and our input message, enter the date listed on the registration form. And then go ahead and click OK. Okay? Testing data validation rules. After you create a rule, you always test it to make sure it works. To test the data validation rules in the receipt worksheet, number 1, select cell B3 and enter 01/30/2016 and press your Tab key. Okay, the invalid registration date message box opens, informing you that the value entered might be incorrect. So now we have to enter a valid date. Click the No button. By the way, did you read this? Because you typed it in earlier. Now, in cell B3, type 12/1/2017. And then press your Enter key. Okay, the date is entered in cell B3. Cell B4 is the active cell, and the input message for the youth name cell appears. In other words, B3 was fine, you typed it incorrectly. All right, select cell B5. Click the arrow button, and then click Kids Game Night. I already have Kids Game Night, but go for it anyway. It's accepted because it's correct. Alright, the only way an error occurs in cells that have a list validation is if an incorrect entry is typed or copied in the cell. You'll try typing in cell B6. Click cell B6, type 5. Press enter. And you can see that it's going to come up and give you your invalid grade message. Go ahead and click cancel. And that turned it back to the correct G5, right? Alright. Step number 6, click the arrow button to the right of cell B6 and select G5. It's already there because we got out of the other one, we told it not to change it. In cell B7, type capital M and press enter. An error alert does not appear because M for medium is actually a valid entry. So even though you didn't pull it off the list, it still is valid and it's on the list, so that's fine. You can do it that way. Okay, now in cell B7, type capital S, capital M for small, and then press enter. You're going to get an invalid shirt size because that is not what we use for small, is it? Okay, go ahead and click cancel. Hit that down pointing arrow and click S for small. Select cell B8, click the arrow button and click yes. Yes is already there, but just go through the motions so that you know how it works. Okay, that's the last part of this video, so go ahead and hit save and you're ready to go on to the next one.